I'm going to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something, completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from here, and this has been like a therapy session.
This is Colin McGuigan for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Delighted to be joined today by Paulie Malignaggi. Paulie's actually coming to London next weekend to the Indigo at the O2 for the Bare Knuckle BYB show, where he's going to be a commentator. And we are going to touch on that in due course. But first of all, Paulie, with obviously there's another massive fight in London next weekend, the Clarissa Sheikh Savannah Marshall fight. How do you think that one goes? It's interesting to get your perspective on it.
I think Savannah is a very strong girl, and I think she's done well with her career. I think Clarissa is a little bit more multi-dimensional than Savannah. I think Savannah is strong, but she's sort of a one-trick pony here, and I think Clarissa could end up frustrating her, and just I think getting a comfortable points decision. I could see that. That's probably where I see the fight going. Listen, I think Savannah's a more likable person. I'll be honest with you. But this is nothing to do with what I'm rooting for or not rooting for. I break down boxing matches. That's what I do. And so if I'm going to break down this boxing match, I see Clarissa being a little bit too multidimensional for Savannah, but we'll see if Savannah can make the adjustments.
Obviously, the day after that event, actually the same day as that event, you guys have a weigh-in at the BYB Bare Knuckle event. That's taking place in the O2, I believe, and then the day after you've got a big event in London. Talk to me a bit about that.
Yeah, that'll be pretty cool. I've started to work with BYB Bare Knuckle. It's bare knuckle boxing essentially. And it's, for a generation that looks to get instant satisfaction, a generation of younger people that, wants to speed things up and wants instant gratification. I feel like it's the reason bare knuckle fighting has gotten more popular, because with bare hands and bare knuckles, there's not really a feel out process, not much anyway. Because even the feel out punches that you throw in boxing, where you're just kind of touching and trying to figure out your distance, those feel out punches in bare knuckle draw blood because it's bone to bone collisions. So automatically, even grazing little shots draw blood. You have a cut, and automatically, once you start to see blood, the crowd is instantly more into the fight. And so I think, and then once the fighters feel their blood and taste their blood, they turn it up a notch right away, So you get to the point of turning it up a notch, and the fight becomes at a crazier pace, a lot faster than you would in boxing matches, where I think there's a more scientific method to it. In bare knuckle, although you can implement a scientific method to it, like I did in my fight a couple of years ago, despite the fan base being too dumb to understand it and the judges being too dumb to understand it, you can implement a scientific style into bare knuckle, but for the most part, you probably won't. And that will allow, a more action-packed type of fight, a more action style, a more toe-to-toe type of effect, and I think for that reason, you get good fights. What I've noticed about BYB and bare knuckle in general is you get good fights, even if you don't know who the guys are. You may not know who these people are, but they get in there, and the fight being barehanded, it's, has a street fight kind of feel to it. But, they're a bit more skilled than just regular people in the street. You hit them, they don't just, the fight doesn't just end like it does in the street. They're bleeding and they're continuing to fight and give their hearts out. And I've seen some of the more action-packed fights that in all the years I've been watching combat sports in bare knuckle fighting in BYB. So I think BYB is really, really a growing brand, and the sport itself is a growing brand. And I tell you, it's been fun because they're all short fights, especially in BYB. We have something called the Trigon, which is a triangle ring. So it's literally the smallest combat sports surface in combat sports, so there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. It's a triangle. So you're basically if you back up at all, you wind up stuck in a corner. And with bare hands stuck in a corner, like I said, they don't have to hit you hard for them to draw blood. So I've seen some action-packed fights. The majority of fights end in knockouts. And like I said, you don't even have to know a lot of the people, even if you're a newcomer to it. You watch these people fight, and you just gain an appreciation for their toughness and for the sport in general. And it gives you give you a little bit of bloodlust, which combat sports fans kind of have. So I think it's a lot of fun. We have Carlos Guerra and Seth Schaefer fighting for a title on October the 16th at the Indigo 02. We have Jose Cotton fighting Miranda Barber. Jose Cotton is actually a girl I was really impressed with. She fought the sister of Mariana Barbie Juarez, the WBC world champion in boxing. Her sister was a bare knuckle champion. And Jose Cotton, for me, won that fight, and she didn't get the decision. But I thought she beat Mariana Juarez's sister in a bare knuckle show in the spring. So I think so for that reason, BYB have brought back Jose Cotton, and she gets the reward to get to fight in front of the British fans, which, in my opinion, the English fans are the best fight fans in the world. Just in the UK, anytime I'm there, there's singing, there's shouting, there's everybody's really into it. So I think the BYB fighters, it's our inaugural BYB show. I think they're going to be really in for a treat when they're going to get to fight in front of this kind of crowd, because I've experienced the English crowds, and it's a lot of fun. And you mix in a lot of action, which BYB gives you, combined with a highly emotional crowd like the English fans give you. And I think you got a good recipe for a fun night.
Well, there's some tickets left, and I believe it's next Sunday. What time does it all kick off next Sunday?
I think
at the Indigo.
I think it's at the Indigo Tour. It's at the Indigo Tour Arena for sure. And it's at about 4:00. I think we kick off in the afternoon. No, that's your time. Yeah, I think it was time. It's about 4:00. I get confused with all the time. In so many different time zones these days, I'm confused at what time. Yeah, I think it's about 4:00 at the O2 Indigo on Sunday. And that'll be fun because we have the weigh-in the day before, and the weigh-in the day before will be at the O2 right outside the arena, and that'll be the same night as the Shield Marshall fight. So all the fans going to the Shield Marshall fight, they'll get to check me out at work in the BYB Bare Knuckle weigh-in, and maybe you get to see the weigh-in, and you get curious about showing up the next day for the fights on the 16th. It's like I said, they're short fights, but there's a lot of blood and there's action. I think you get your money's worth.
Well, that's it. And Paulie said it. So make sure you get yourself down next weekend if you are listening, because it looks like a great fun.
I love, and I always have a good time mingling with the English fans. So if you guys are there at that weigh-in, people who go to the Marshall and Shields fight, I'll be outside the arena there at the weigh-in for the BYB show. So I'll be around that area, probably grabbing some good food over there. It's a good steakhouse there that I usually like to go to, and just hanging out. So I hope to see all the fans out there for sure.
Well, Paulie, thanks so much for your time, and we'll do this again soon. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
Take it easy. Bye-bye.
I'm going to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something. Completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.